Hey guys, this is Tennessee Hillbilly in the Philippines, formerly Big Daddy Richard Reed. I'm here in General Tres Cavite. It is approximately 12:30 p.m. and I just sit here and I wanted to talk to you. You know what brought me to the Philippines? That's a big subject. But number one, I had a grandfather, step grandfather. He married my grandmother after my real grandfather passed away. he was a he worked for the government, and he just happened to stay here in the Philippines after World War II and helped rebuild the bridges. So it was every Sunday at lunch, after church, we would hear Philippines, Philippines, Philippines. And he never would tell me that I needed a Filipino wife because I was married at the time. But I could tell that's what he was indicating. So, that came to pass. Well, I went to work construction. I traveled around, oh my God, I traveled almost to 30 something different states and worked. And I finally ended up in California, Vallejo, California, working for the union. And I had a boss man that just so happened had a Filipino wife. And, one thing led to the other. Next thing I know, I'm on a Philippine dating site. The first day I got on that site, I put my profile in. The next day I probably had over 100 messages. That's just how bad these girls want to come over. For an old man like me to get them kind of messages, that was unreal. I'm gonna put my glasses back on, I can't see. But anyway, I studied that. I met a young lady, and I thought, God Almighty, this is unreal. She's beautiful. She's, smart. She's got a job. She's working in Taiwan. And, we had I called it puppy love. Of course, she said, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you, and all that. And so we had these big plans. So I came to the Philippines. She took off some time. Her mother passed away, and so she took some time off to come to the Philippines. And I said, well, I'll just come meet you. I stayed 1 week, asked her to marry me, ended up filing a petition, a fiancé visa, and like a fool, went away with it. Well, the last night we was together, she put tampoo on me, and I should have knew what was going to happen in the future. But no, stupid hillbilly, he let that other thing between her legs get in his mind. He couldn't understand why, what was going on. But I brought her to the United States, and it started as soon as we parked the first night. We need to send money to my family. We hadn't discussed that. Well, I went ahead and sent it like I was supposed to. I ended up retiring. I got hurt on the job. I was drawing workman's compensation and, doing pretty good. And I filed my Social Security, disability. Of course, it was turned down. So I just got tired of living in California. It was a mess, expensive. So we moved back to Marshtown, Tennessee. This was like 2007. And my mother, she had onset Alzheimer's, very sick. She was disabled. She couldn't walk. She had to use her wheelchair. And, we were going to go back, buy a house. She said, no. She said, why don't you remodel the basement, stay there. That way at least I have somebody in the house with me. And, we talked about it and agreed to it. Again, I should have seen the red lights because the first day she started helping Mom. And I guess Mom said something to her. I mean, my mom, she said what on her mind. And she got mad at my mom. She never helped my mother again after that. And here my mother was doing everything in the world for us. She was cleaning her house out of a wheelchair, cooking out of a wheelchair. But, I stopped the cooking soon after I got there. I unplugged the stove and told Mom the stove was broke because Mom would just forget about the cooking, and I thought she was going to catch the house on fire. But anyway, it goes on, and we made a couple of trips back to the Philippines. We bought property. I fell head over heels in the Filipino trick. I bought a big lot in a very fancy subdivision in Bulacan, right next to her family, of course. And at that point, I paid it off within a year. We financed it, but I wasn't one at that point to do all that financing, so I paid it off. We come back in a couple of years to get the deed on it. Well, that's when everything started going to hell. Once she got the deed, she started going to the gym. You know, she started going places without me, spending more money, sending more money home. Oh, we got to help this one. We got to help this one, help this one, help this one. Finally, I told her, I said, that's it. I said, I don't have that kind of money. I'm on a union retirement, my Social Security, and this stuff's going to run out. So we sort of had a big fix there. She moved out for a week. Where she went, damn if I know, but man, she went some place quick. I should, all this stuff was going into my mind. Anyway, we smoothed that over. A year or so later, I wanted to go to the Philippines. It was at Christmas time, and we had planned on going to the Philippines at Christmas. And so I wanted to learn how to scuba dive. I said, well, why don't we both go over November, something like that. But with the way her company worked, she liked 2 or 3 days that she had saved up all this time where she wouldn't lose no money. But she said, no, I'm not going to do that. They'll fire me. I said, what's more important, me or the job? The job. I said, okay. So here I am going back to the Philippines all by myself. And, I told her, I said, this is not a real good deal. I said, I'm not that ugly. And I said, the girls are going to be picking on me all the time. Well, hell, I hadn't even got off the plane before that happened. I was doing it on the plane. But make a long story short, I fooled around, and that stupid girl called me, and my ex picked up the telephone, so here we are fussing. That night, her family threatened to kill me, so I said, to hell with it. I got a taxi away from them, went downtown Manila, got me a room, and that's where I met Judith. I said, she working at a restaurant, and come push the I talked to her, and finally we went out. She knew I was married, but we spent the time together. We spent Christmas together. We spent New Year's together, and hit it off pretty good. Well, of course, I went back to America like I was supposed to with my ex. I hadn't been there 30 minutes. Excuse me. Let it go on. I'm on it. Anyway, hadn't been there 30, 40 minutes in the house, and she started in on me. And I said, you know what? If you're not going to be my wife, you just pack your shit and don't let that damn door hit you in the ass going out the door. So that's what she did. It didn't take her 10 minutes to have a place to stay. So I sit around and I thought about it. I went up and talked to my mom. Me and my mom's real close, and I told Mom what was going on. And Mom says, Richard, she says, you've been married 3 times now. You're a grown man. You do what you want to do. I said, well, what I want to do is I want to go back to the Philippines. I said, I met another young lady. She's level-headed. She's got 3 kids. And I says, she don't want to come to America. I mean, Judah said the right thing. She didn't want me to spend money, bring her to America, and all that stuff. So anyway, I come back and rented a condo. I stayed, paid $15,000 a month in Sucat, which is part of real close to Parañaque, if you're familiar with anything in the Philippines. We stayed there almost 6 months. Well, I finally went back to the States. My mother, kept on hounding me. I come back to the States. I got home. The day after I got home, there was a sheriff with a summons for a divorce decree. Okay, well, I went and got a lawyer, and, he didn't know too much about international marriages and all that crap. But anyway, I ended up doing most of the work. First thing, she was trying to sue me for my retirement. I studied that. We weren't ever married one day that I worked. Boom, she couldn't get that. She couldn't get my Social Security again. We had never been married while we worked. And I told her, we only liked a couple of years to have a long marriage, what they call a full-term marriage, over 10 years. But she was listening to her friends, And plus, she done found a young Filipino buck, and basically all she wanted was a baby, and I couldn't give a baby. I done shot my wad with them babies. And anyway, make a long story short, I got the divorce. I pushed it along. I guess I went to court on the 24th. On the 28th, I was on a plane, come back over here. Well, we still had that condo. We stayed in that condo another 3 months. And that's when we decided to come up here to General Trias, Cavite. It's about 2 hours out of Manila. And we rented a house for 500, we rented a house for 10,000 pesos. Of course, we had to buy furniture. We had nothing. So I spent another 50,000 at that point. I've done the whole thing, and mistakes I made, I own up to them. But most of the time, Judith helped me. We made a deal with her family. I told her, I said, Judith, you see what happened in my last marriage? I says, I don't want that to happen this one. I'm going to make it straight right now. I cannot support your family and you and your children. I'll make sure you and your children are well taken care of, and I will make sure your mother does not starve. Besides your brothers and sisters, I'm sorry, that's it. I can't help them. They're old enough, they can find a job. And we've lived with that for the last few years until the corona happened. With the corona happened, I just couldn't see it that nobody could work, so I helped out. I sent food and baby's milk and all that stuff over there, and I'll never regret it. God says the more you give, the more you receive. So anyway, Judith and I, we finally got married September the 8th, 2018. The best thing in my life. God give me another chance of raising children. Judith's little girl, Divine, she's 7. I'm her daddy. I'm the only daddy she's ever had. Her other daddy was a drug addict, beat Judith, left the kids, no money, just, typical Filipino man that don't care. And anyway, I promised Judith that I'd take care of these kids, I'd take care of her. And she promised me, she says, I'll take care of you till you die. And I said, that's all that I can ask for. She says, I'll change your diaper, I'll make sure you eat. And I says, that's more than anybody's ever done for me. So I had to go back, and my mom got sick, so I went back. And Mom and I talked, and Judith met her on the video. And Mom talked to her a long time, and then after they quit talking, me and Mom was by herself. She said, Richard, she said, I ain't never advised you on no women you ever met, but she says, I've got a feeling about this one that she's special. And Mama never said that about most of them. Most of them said they're bums, get rid of them. Anyway, to me, Judith was special. She did everything in her life has been hard, just like me. And she's still standing. And today, we're in between paydays. And sometimes, even though I've got a good pension, she likes to spend money. Well, I like to eat. I like to eat steak. I like to eat pizza. I drink beer. I drink whiskey. All that costs. So instead of crying and whining about it, she goes down. She said, honey, don't worry about it. We'll make everything. We're okay. She goes down and she cooks food, and believe it or not, she'll sell 500 pesos of food a day. That's only $10, but $10 here in the Philippines is a lot of money. And you figure times 7, that's 3,500 pesos a week. That's over $70 a week, and that's good money for somebody over here. Most of the time, for a week's worth of work, they might make 500 pesos. $10 for a week. So, she's always got money. She never has to ask me for it. But, I've just had this on my mind. I want you to know who I am. I'm talking from the heart. I love this country. Sometimes I hate it, but most of the time I love it. There's times I've met people here I just hate. And sometimes, most of the people I meet here are just You know, they treat me like their father. But that, you know, I met some bad kids. I dropped my billfold one night, and all it had in it was credit cards. And I just stood up and told them, I said, well, fellas, I don't know who got my wallet. Don't care. I says, all's in it's my IDs and credit cards. And I says, the credit cards will be canceled within 30 minutes. So if you plan on using it, you ain't gonna get nothing but trouble. Next thing you know, there my wallet showed up. You know, that's the worst thing's ever happened to me over here. And the next thing, but anyway, as the best thing ever happened to me was Judith and those children. You know, I worked construction all my life. I worked 30 years of construction. Half of it was union, half of it was non-union. I traveled, I worked on the road all my life. I tried going back and staying. Well, what would happen? I'd work a job, save up a little money, go back. I'd be broke in a week and then out of a job for 6 months. So I said, to hell with that. So I just, as soon as I'd get laid off, I would have another job. I was very lucky. I worked hard, and I gained a good reputation of once I started a job, I would stick with it until it was over. And I stayed working. I probably wasn't out of work a whole month in 30 years that I know. I've never missed a day that I can even think of. So I think I missed a day a couple of times with carpal tunnel surgery. And then whenever I got hurt on the job, I missed a few days. But they told me when I filed for workers' comp, the union doctor said, son, you can't work this no more. And I said, well, good. It's time for me to retire. And I took full advantage of it. I took full retirement. I packed up my trailer. We lived in a fifth wheel trailer and come back to Tennessee. I got rid of the fifth wheel trailer, made another mistake, bought that damn woman a car, ended up had to pay what was owed on it, ended up selling three $50 gold pieces. Today would be worth probably $8,000. I got $6,000 out of them before. I mean, I got a pretty good deal for what I paid for them. But, you know, I lost a lot financially with that other woman. With Judith, I haven't lost a penny. She like everybody else, you know, if I leave money in my pocket, she says, oh, this is washing money. But then that little girl, she comes up every night. She comes up, she will give me a big old hug. I love you, Daddy. Bust my butt, Daddy. Or scratch my back. And I scratch her little old back, and she'll hug me. She says, I'm going to bed. Give me a kiss. And she says, I'm going to go say my prayers. I said, well, I love you, Divine. She says, I love you, Daddy. So I've got to be a chance to be a daddy again at 68. I'm happy. I'm in a place that I don't think I could ever replace. We bought this house. We don't owe a thing on it. We have a car. We finance that, but that's $500 a month, you know. And Judith says, well, you need to stay alive for 5 years. You know, at least she's honest. She says, I want you to stay alive long enough to pay for the car. That way I don't lose it. She's got her driver's license, but the only place she's ever drove is out here in the subdivision. I don't think she'll ever drive on the road. Hell, it scares me to drive on the road. But anyway, this is a long video. I just wanted to drop who I am, why I came to the Philippines. Am I going back home? You know, will I go back home? You know, Mama's passed away in 2018. I have 2 grandchildren that I told them when they graduate or get married, I'll come back. And my oldest grandson, which is right at 16, Papa, you don't have to worry about coming back for me. I'm not getting married. When I graduate, you can come back. So that's probably the only 2 reasons that I'll go back. I says, unless I get sick, because I don't really trust the Filipino medical system here. I've got Medicare, and I've got my union retirement, which is my second insurance. So I can go to the doctor in America, get treated for anything, and I don't have to pay any money. I do have a supplemental cancer insurance just in case that happens. So, you know, if something really bad happens, I'd go back and try to take Judith with me. on a long-term medical visa. I'd have to get a lot of paperwork. We'd have to prove that she would come back. But, God's always been good to us, and that's what we do. But I think that's the only way I'd go back. I came here. I'd made a lot of bills on my credit card. Don't do that, fellas. Don't bring a credit card over here and pile bills on it. I ended up going back. I filed bankruptcy. I come back here to the Philippines. We have plenty of money now. I don't drop that money on useless bills. Now it's for food, electricity, and that's about it. Even my alcohol consumption has went down. I quit drinking the hard alcohol. I drink maybe 2-3 beers a day, and life is good. I'm a advanced open water scuba diver. Haven't been scuba diving in over a year, and I'm planning on doing that. Well, I was planning on doing it this summer, but this COVID-19 has solved that problem. They're closed down, not accepting over anything, and right now we're on lockdown. I'm not allowed out. Judith is the only one allowed out. The kids are not allowed to go out. Things are getting back to what they were in March, and I just hope we can stop the spread of this disease and get back to where I can go out and do things, and I can go back to go scuba diver, just go travel a little bit. Anyway, this is Tennessee Hillbilly in the Philippines. Used to be Big Daddy Richard Reed. If you like, thumbs up, subscribe. My email is rdreed, R-E-E-D, at 2004, no, rdreed2004 at gmail.com. My Facebook is Richard Reed, R-E-E-D. Send me a message, comment, I'll answer, and I'll give you what I did. I won't tell you what to do. I'll tell you what I did and how I made a mistake or I didn't make a mistake. Thumbs up, like and subscribe. God bless. Thank you very much for watching.